Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to a Spirit Speaks night. We're back after a long break, but we're back and we're having to refigure out everything again. So Gina and I are working backstage trying to figure it out, but hopefully we'll get it figured. We'll get figured out, and if not, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Well, tonight we're going to be talking to Richard Nixon. He's here with his mother. And I asked, is he alone? And I got a no. And then the first person, of course, I thought was his wife. But no, his wife is not with him. His mother is with him. So I'm going to go over just some brief information, and then we'll get to the questions. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. Richard Milhouse Nixon was born January 9th, 1913 and passed away April 22nd, 1994. He was the 37th president of the United States, serving from 1969 until his resignation in 1974. A member of the Republican Party, he represented California in both houses of the United States Congress before serving as the 36th vice president under President Dwight D. Eisenhower from 1953 to 1961. His presidency saw the reduction of the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, detente with the Soviet Union, and China, and opening trade with China, or relations with China, I guess I should say, and the Apollo 11 moon landing, and the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency and Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Nixon's second term ended early when he became the only U.S. president to resign from office as a result of the Watergate scandal. And he also did, he expanded the Vietnam War and had a very controversial and lower vibrational presidency. Let's put it that way. But I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. And I'm not getting any visuals right now, which is interesting, but earlier I got glimpses of him, and it was weird because I knew that it was him. He was young. He was probably about 30, but you know how he had those really like prominent Nixon features, the nose and the larger cheeks. Everything was softened. He looked so much softer. And so that's interesting, but yeah, so that's all the visuals that I got, because usually I'll get like a really clear picture of them kind of, but that was really all that I got today, was just a couple of little glimpses of him, and something was different. The only thing I could say is that his features that we would know him as, Nixon, they were just softer. Yeah, so that's what I saw, and now I'm really just feeling them here, and I'm getting clairaudience. So it'll be interesting to see what he says. Okay, so we're ready for the first question. I also have a question, Gina, as well. So Okay, so Gina, while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I have just one question that somebody sent in by email. Or no, I've got two, sorry. I've got one by Patricia. So I'm going to do this one first, and I have another one while you're figuring that out. And, oh, did you figure it out? Okay. How does the other side view souls like Trump? Is the first question for him. So I'm getting there's always a loving embrace from the other side. There's always a type of a welcoming home, because that is our home. This is our home. That's our home. So there's always a welcome home and an embrace of love from the other side. Depending on how deeply entrenched someone is in the life that they had, there might be a little bit of confusion, a little bit of isolating, depending on if they have fear or worry, or if they had no expectation of there being anything. Sometimes they will sort of isolate or stay in an area that is, he's saying we might call it the void, but it's a space, it's a dimension. It's kind of an in-between space. It's almost like a waiting room. It's like a waiting room. You might stay there afraid to go to the other side. So that can happen as well. But eventually all souls move into the operational, I feel like he's saying the protocol, what happens after we pass. Everybody goes through that and everybody starts to move through that. It doesn't really matter how long it takes or how long you wait. You still go through the process of whatever your process is of going into the life review and seeing family. I mean, being like reunited with people, and then the process of remembering everything coming back to you. So in that way, I feel like he's saying like nothing will be different for him. He'll go through what everyone goes through, but it's very individual depending on how entrenched you were on the earth plane. Those that are quite entrenched and completely absorbed in this world have a much more difficult time assimilating and moving to the other side, because there's not a connection that they recognize yet. Okay. I hope that was understandable. Okay. And Gina, I'm just going to go on to the next question. When you can jump in, go ahead and do it. If you can't, it's okay. We'll figure it out next time. We've been away for something may have changed. I don't know. What was your experience in reaching the other side? What was your experience in reaching the other side? I was okay. I was greeted by my mother and many other family members, but I was deeply emotional in seeing my mother. I thought she would be so disappointed in me. I feared that. And I feel like I want to burst into tears right now. I'm not going to, but I feel like that emotion of I was, and then she was just loving and just my mother. I had he's showing himself like falling to his knees and crying. And he's saying he had many souls that helped him and helped him to be able to go through the whole of his life. And it was excruciating and difficult, but it's a necessary part of the healing and process, not just for me, but for anyone whose life that I touched. So it is very important to go through this process of full understanding of the impact and the tremendous effect your life had on so many. I still work through this today. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to speak today, and may I please say with my whole heart, I am sorry. This is something I should have said. I did not have the level of he's saying something, I think it's like consciousness. I didn't have the level of consciousness to know how important it would be to hear this. I couldn't move out of my own way. I still work with many that whose lives I touched, whose lives were affected by my life. We still work through these things today, and I will be working through them for a very long time. It is a necessary process, and one that I am willingly and gratefully taking part in. And yeah, that's it. Okay, I'm going to go up. Okay, let's do this one. Craig Sir, as a kid, I was so embarrassed, disappointed by your downfall. As I look around today, I have no words but heartsick. There is no sense of decency, as Joel said. Will you now heal the USA? We honestly need your help. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, he says. Thank you. I will do everything in my power to assist the United States. I visit often. I try to impart my suggestions in light of my own failings. Sometimes they're heard, sometimes they are not. But I continue to try. The people in the United States are very resilient and tenacious, imperfect in many of their decisions, but there's something very special about this place and about these people, not in a way that puts us above others, but in a way that should tell you all that you will survive all of this. You will be coming together and setting things right. It is meant to be this way. And there are many energies pushing this forward. He's like, I can't say too much, but I can say that. Okay. So yes, so he's trying to help Craig, and he sounds like he's saying we're going to be fine. We're going to make it through. That we're a tough people, imperfect. He said, but tough. Okay, so just visiting. I'm curious how he has changed on the other side. His corruption was much less than what's going on now, and he was forced to resign, as he should have. Let me see what is. So he says, like, you're like he did this too. He's like, I did this too. You're confusing my spirit with the human being that I played, or that I was here. As a spirit, I am unmarked. I am expanded. This portion, okay, this might be confusing. This portion of my soul that willingly took on this life is whole. But there's still a need to go through. It sounds like to me, like I'm going to try to say what because this is almost coming in like a download. It almost seems like he's saying that as this person, the the portion of his soul that was involved in this life and that in this as this person is sort of still working things out or putting the pieces together to, because that's what his soul wants to do. It seems to me like some souls can look at their life and then they can kind of be on to the next thing. And some souls are they want to go through everything. They want to understand things. And I think because of the severity of this life, there's this need to go through every part of it and understand it fully. So I feel like that's what he's talking about. But the soul, our soul isn't like our soul is all fractured and imperfect. It's always divine, innocent. But when there's a life like this, it seems like there's more of a need to go through it with kind of like a fine-tooth comb and really understand what happened. And also all of the lives that were impacted, because I feel like that was a huge thing. And so you're not only going through it and talking about it and, having conferences about it or whatever they're doing, going through it for yourself, you're going through it for other people and for other people's families and for other people, other people that were affected. And so it's sort of like I'm still going through this. So it almost seems like we might be talking to more of like the oversoul, and maybe that's why it feels different rather than like this aspect. I always feel like they show up as that aspect, like this is the part of me that played this part, and that's who's talking to you. So I can like have that personality and I can come in like that person and you recognize me and that kind of thing. This feels different to me. Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's why he's like kind of breaking it up that way and saying, well, this part of me that played this part is still going through all of the aspects, but the soul is the soul. It's divine, It can't be hurt by a lifetime. And I know that's hard to understand. We want vengeance. We want people to pay, but it is the way that it is. Some people are like, I didn't think I would sit and listen to what Nixon had to say. But I feel like he's answering questions about this lifetime because we want to know, and he's apologizing on behalf of this lifetime as well. So that's very interesting. Okay. Mr. Nixon, your VP, Spiro Agnew, was incredibly corrupt. Did you realize this prior to your term, or was the part of the plan for your administration? I feel unsure to speak for him, but there is a truth that is it's like it's talked about in spiritual communities about love and fear, and he's saying this is so much of my own behavior was born out of fear. I wouldn't have seen it that way, but that's what it was. Fear of looking weak, fear of being out of the loop, fear of fear of being wrong. And the more afraid you are, the worse your decisions get. The worse the worse your instincts get. You're not in touch with anything good. I would never have said at that time I was fearful, but that is what it was. It was fear. I just knew I have to keep going. I have to keep this quiet. I have to see what they're saying about me. I have to be in the mix. He's going back to like childhood, and he's saying that for a lot of my life, a lot of like his young life, I felt left out. I felt separate. I felt like I didn't fit. And in the position of president, I fit. And it's kind of like, not only did I fit, but I decided who fit. So this really fed a hunger and a sadness and a fear. And I clung onto it tightly and made terrible decisions out of that fear. You have a man now doing the same thing. Different fears, different level. Different depth of vibration. I think that's what he's talking about, like frequency or vibration, but stemming from the same place. So I hope that answered that. Thank you for that question. President Nixon did so much for the environment, established the EPA, signed clean air, much of which is being undone. Does he see a shift back to a better protection of the environment in the future? Okay. This is one of my focuses even still. I always felt we are the stewards of the earth. We're the stewards of the earth. And we need to protect her. I'm very involved in all of the attempts to try to protect Mother Earth and her inhabitants. And he's showing me animals, lots of animals. This is one of the saddest departures in the in his party, like in the Republican Party, is the turning their back on the environment. It's yeah, he really hopes that this is, he's like, it'll turn around. but at the same time, he's working on it. It's kind of like, and he's showing me like different, like activist groups and things like that. So I feel like, all of these, all of the groups and all of the people trying to do good work, they all have guides and angels and people that are supporting them. And so often we feel when we, are trying to achieve something or do something that we have wind at our back. And that's spirit. That's what that is. Assisting in whatever way that they can. And I feel like that's what he's talking about. But I can feel at Sunday, I could feel that the shift from like, because he was kind of like talking about all these kind of hard things and sad things. And I could feel that, just that kind of lift when he started talking about the environment and how much he loved the earth, and still loves the earth. And it's probably why he came to the earth. We all seem to have that in common, that we all love the earth plane. Was his life review hard or not so much? I worry sometimes about how these things go. He said for him, it was very hard and it took a long time. But he had a lot of support. He says, you're never in this alone. You never go through anything alone. You may feel, even in your darkest, loneliest day, you're not alone. So you always have tremendous help around you. And you're so grateful for the help that you have. And there is no judgment. There is no judgment. I know. This is the first hint of a sense of humor that I heard. But he's like, I know that people hope there was judgment for me, but he said there is no judgment. You're your judge. You're your judge. But in that, I was a very harsh judge on myself, and I remain so today. And I work to assist in trying to push forward for a better day. Yeah, so that's what he has to say about that. Okay. All right, let me do a couple more. Let's do this one. This is kind of a controversial one. Let's see what he says. Mr. Nixon, was there cheating in the 2024 election by Trump, and will this be uncovered? Will the U.S. contend with our possibly compromised election process and make it safe and fair? Okay. What do you have to say about that? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. He's saying this is a story that will unfold on the earth. Okay, so for entertainment purposes only, I can confirm there was interference. I can confirm that there's a serious problem with misleading, and he's showing like X and Facebook, and so he's talking about that being a real problem, and he's saying it's interference. It's known and watched, but depending on how vigilant the people surveying are, it can be a problem. It may be a problem. I feel like he doesn't want to go like into specific things. I feel like he feels like things will eventually come out, and he doesn't want to, but that's what he can confirm. And going forward, he feels that he's saying that the sea change will be so severe that even the attempts at cheating won't be successful. So at some point, when we vote again, whether it's 2026 or 2028, he's saying the sea change is going to be just so much, it's not even going to matter. It's not going to matter. And then things will be sort of, he's kind of like that at that point, like everything is kind of upended, like everything is changed and moved in a different direction at that point. Yeah. Okay. How was he treated socially after his presidency? Oh, how was he treated socially after his presidency? So how was your life after the presidency? So he's saying he didn't necessarily show it all the time, but he lived with a lot of shame and embarrassment. He knew, he's saying, like, I knew I let down the country. That was not ever, that was never not understood. Socially, he said his good friends were still his friends, but it felt cold, and he didn't feel as comfortable, obviously, didn't feel as comfortable, and it was hard. He felt worse for his wife, his kids, like people that had nothing to do with, and yet were sort of marked with that name and with him, and he felt badly about that. And so he had a lot of shame and embarrassment, shame. Okay, let's do this one. And this is meant with as with love, with lightness. I just want to see what he says. I'm very curious what he says. So he says, in every sense of the word, yeah, I guess you could say that. But he says, when he says that, he said that at the time, he said, that word I thought of like hardened criminal, but I didn't think of myself that way. But that would probably be it would be the right word. It describes exactly someone that crimes, that did crimes. He's saying he's saying in my heart, I wasn't. I didn't have a hateful heart or a cruel heart, or I was a fearful, ego-driven, somewhat paranoid man. And with all of that, committed crimes, did things that would fit into that it's almost like they're things that were perfectly suited to those traits. So yeah, I can tell even just that he was very bright. I mean, I can just feel like his intelligence, and he's rather serious. He's not, I mean, like I said, it's the only like funny thing that but he can see the absurdity of of things he did, and he can see the absurdity of this. So, but he's rather serious. And I should have looked at like his personality and about his childhood, but I didn't want to look at too much. So I didn't, but I will after this, because he's I can tell he was very smart, but very serious. And probably kind of quiet, maybe. Okay, let's end on this one, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. And I'm sorry, Gina, we'll figure out what the heck went wrong. What is he proud of, and what would he have done differently? Oh, so he's saying, I was so privileged to have the unique experience of being president. There's so many things I would have done differently. So many things I would have done, so many things I would have pushed for. I'm definitely proud of my work with the environment, with animals. I'm very proud of trying to reach out to other countries and build a bigger, build a more of a global kind of, have friends around the globe, that kind of thing. I wish that it had kind of turned out better, but I really had intentions that it would be really good for everyone involved to have good trade and good relations and that kind of thing. Of course, I would have not, I don't know if he's saying extended or expanded the Vietnam War. Maybe both. Extended, expanded the Vietnam War. Of course, he's saying there are far more things I would do differently than things that I am proud of. Of course, I would not have been dishonest. I would have been more aware of the position I was in to just help so many people. And I would change that. I would have helped so many more, and I would have kept my hands out of places that they didn't belong. I would have kept my attention to us and our the problems and the issues in our own country. I wouldn't have been trying to sort of put myself in other places and that I didn't belong. Yeah, been much more honest and kinder. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Well, I want to thank you guys for this is a very interesting, a weird one, but very interesting. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. We'll be back next week. I believe we'll be back next week. And I don't know who are doing it, but I will let you know during the week, and I know it's very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Yeah, but we thank him and his mom for being here. I could feel her the whole time. Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night, and I will see you guys next week. Thank you. Thank you, Gina. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks. Thanks, everybody.